Today is Barrowmaze. And last episode, we got all the boys from the village who want to go on an adventure because across from the Barrow Moor there have been mysterious shadows coming out of the mist at night time, and so something must be investigated. So, before we set out, we should see what rumours and information we have gathered from town. Now, normally you would roll one rumour for every character, but because we're at level 0, they are equivalent of a quarter of a first level character. So I'm actually just going to roll 4 times because we've got a 16. Okay, so this is like things we've heard around the village, maybe from their funny old man at the inn or like passing travellers or something. And I'll sort of try and slide it over a bit so can't quite see whether they're true or false as well. The first one is 17. All rumours are true. That's a good one to start with. Alright, all rumours you hear from now on are true. That's obviously not true. Anyway, who did we hear that from? They're all true, I tell you. Anyway, next. Number 3. Tomb robbers recently returned with a silver chalice worth 666 gold. Quite impressive. Next. 2. All the entrances to Barrowmaze are trapped. Well, that's something we can be aware of, I suppose. And finally, 16. Runic tablets curse those who read them. Beware. Okay. So we need to... The entrances are trapped. Don't read any tablets. And some people recently came back with something Ralphie. Alright then. So, it says that the Barrow Mounds are a half a day's walk away from the village. So, everyone's going to be excited and set off in the morning, 7 in the morning or so. Now then, this is an ancient place. It's damp and misty. Everything is still and quiet. We're all trudging along together. And so, what I will do is I'll shuffle up all 16 of everybody, and then we'll lay them out in 4 rows of 4. So, that way we've got front rank, back rank, and a left and a right. So, if we are taken by surprise from any angle, we have a line of defense. So let's see. So in the front rank we have Han the Jeweler, Ged the Lightbearer, Dine the Ostler, and Cal the Haberdasher. Okay, so they're in the front. Depending on which angle anything comes from, it means that the middle 4, which is Finn, Elm, Kess, and Bry, are completely safe. Okay, so as we make our way to and across to the Barrow Moor with all the standing stones standing out of the mist, we should roll for a random encounter. So you do that by rolling a 6-sided dice and an encounter occurs on a 1. So let's see what happens. I rolled a 6, so nothing happens. So we would make our way safely to the edge of the mounds. Now, in the book, there are 70 mounds, and there is a section for generating random mounds. So what I thought we would do is we'll roll 100-sided dice, and whatever number we get is whatever mound we get, and if we get over 70, then it's a randomly generated one, which we can also do. So here we go. Let's see what number we get. I got 55. So I'm now going to turn to 55 in the book. So we come across a barrow mound with standing stones. This is sealed. Now what that means is it's got a stone cover stone over the front. So, for the sake of adventure, we would have to break into that cover stone. And to do that, we're going to need some equipment. So, who has bought a hammer? When I rolled people's random equipment, Pip, the runecaster, and Oka, the armorer, both have iron spikes. And Oka also has a hammer. Someone else has a hammer. Ness has a hammer as well. So those two have the necessary equipment, along with the spikes, to break into the cover stone. So let us attempt that. That's going to take 20 minutes. And it's going to be very noisy on this silent moor, so we're going to have to make another random encounter roll, and we'll see. I rolled a 4, so nothing happened. So Ness and Oka go at the stone slab with the help of the iron spikes, and we break in. So the first thing that we find is a unique decorated bronze door behind our cover stone. And we can see that in the center of this door looks like a lock. There's a bird, a crane bird, in the middle of this lock, and there are boot prints in front of the door. So this looks like an impenetrable bronze door that we're not going to get past unless we have some kind of key or something like that. So that was a complete waste of time. I haven't read any of these, so it's a surprise for me as well. So, I think after that we'll all sit down and have some lunch, to be honest. Because that was Alright, so let's go and have a look for another mound. But while we're having lunch and traversing to find another mound, we should again roll for a random encounter. I rolled a 2, nothing to worry about, so I'm now going to go and find a different mound. We've managed to find a mound with an interesting bronze-locked door, which is very strange. And perhaps in another mound, maybe we'll be able to find a key to open this door. So here's the next mound. 7. I rolled 7. Alright, here is another sealed mound. And so we'll need to break through it again. So I suppose after lunch everybody's had a happy time and they're ready to get on and try and break that. So we'll break through this one and we will have to make another random roll. Okay, no, there's no encounter. It's completely silent. We've not met anybody on the moors today. So we finally break through this cover stone, and what do you think we find? We have some strange luck here. It's another bronze door, an ancient bronze door carved all over. There's a skull face embossed on the door and some small pentagram designs. Since we'll say Oka and Ness the blacksmith and then Pip the runecaster with his iron spikes, we'll say they were up front first. So we're going to have them make a roll with their luck to see if they can spot anything on this door. So who's got the highest luck? Pip, the runecaster, actually has +1 luck. So let's see what happens. Okay. Now then, I should explain, there are 4 levels of difficulty. Easy, medium, hard, and deadly. And they correspond to the numbers 5, 10, 15, and 20. So, they're going to search for something, and I'm going to say it's going to be hard. The 15 will need to be rolled. So, Pip, I'm going to roll a d20, 20-sided dice, plus their 1 luck, and see what we get, and hope that we get a 15 or more. Alright, I rolled a 17, so they get a total of 18. So Pip, crouching down there while the others have broken through with the hammers, manages to see one of those small pentagrams carved into the door is actually a little keyhole. So we found 2 very mysterious doors, but we can't get into any of them, can we? So, once again, I mean, it's a huge bronze door. It really is obvious that it can't be physically breached. Okay, So once again, nothing has happened. Well, that's still pretty exciting. We found 2 bronze doors. It makes me think of the bronze doors in Legend of Grimrock, if you've ever played that. Well then, what time do we think it is now? It's probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon after all that fuss. So let us say we go to find another mound, and in doing so we need to make another random encounter roll. So no encounter still, and we wander across the lonely moor to mound 17. Okay, here we go. This one isn't sealed, but it is covered. So maybe it's sealed it's sealed underneath. So because it's covered, it's basically been buried through time and mud and shifting earth and that sort of thing have sort of grown over it. So it needs to be excavated. Does anybody have any digging tools? I don't think a single person has anything to dig with. Basically no, basically nothing. We've not done very well at all, really. So we're going to have to go back to town and buy a spade or something. But I wanted to begin the first part of the adventure with just what they got from the initial character creation. Okay, everyone, let's go and find... We found a mound that was covered, but we can't get into it because nobody thought to bring a spade. So let's find another mound. Okay. 9. Oh, and as we walk to this mound, we're going to have to see if there's a random encounter. No, there is not. Very lonely. Okay, this one is also covered. So I think that we're going to say for ourselves, what a good adventure we've had today. Let's look for one more mound, and then we'll go home and buy a spade. We've just basically wandered around, but you know, it was nice to have a day trip out, I'm sure, even if it is a little bit of a creepy place. So, let's find one more mound. Back into the lonely mist, we come across mound number 35. Alright, this is the final mound for the day. Probably getting to evening now, and we're going to go home. Okay, we have found a mound that is actually open. You can just go in. There's standing stones in the front leading down into the hill, and there's a dark hole. Alright, we have found a mound. Yay, everyone, finally something. The cover stone is broken in the grass as we approach. There's a small staircase that descends down. Let's go in. Everybody is in their order. There's actually a well-worn path in the floor that leads to a statue of something. It was on a pedestal, but it's been knocked over. And underneath the base of the statue, a staircase descends into the dark. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's see if anybody can recognize this statue. We'll just pick somebody who has good personality. I'll tell you what, let's use Bry. He's a mendicant, he's a travelling priest. He can have a go at this. See if he knows who this statue represents. He got a total of 18. I'd say that's very good. You can see the statue is of a character called Nurgle. Nurgle is the old god of death and undeath. So, blimey, we've stumbled on it here, haven't we? So then, since this was already discovered, it seems that the most sensible thing to do would be to go home now and buy a spade and tuck up in bed and come back tomorrow and absolutely, definitely not go down into the dark hole now, because that would be silly. However, we could just have a little look, couldn't we, if we just go down the stairs? Just a little look. I mean, come on now. Just we've had such an uneventful day that we finally found something exciting. There's a secret staircase under a knocked over statue. Oh my goodness. Ged the light bearer is actually in the front row, and he actually has a lantern, doesn't he? So, let us just pop down the stairs.